Last Friday, Mikel Arteta confirmed to Sky Sports that Arsenal are set to name their new club captain, most likely after their return from the US. By the time you're watching this, it may have already been confirmed. Martin Ødegaard is seen by most as the front-runner for the captaincy. Here's why I think that is, or would be, the right choice. Say Premier League captain to a football fan, and it's likely to stir up particular images from a particular era. I suspect the late 90s or early 2000s. Vieira, Keane, Adams or Gerrard, alpha male types. Many have fond memories of these players, and there's something undeniably attractive about uniting behind a sort of battling warrior type. A vocal, strong leader, visibly wanting your team to win just as much as you do. But there are some negatives to that type of leadership. Conflict, as obvious as it sounds, doesn't always unite people, and that aggressive, macho style is not as natural as many people think it is. There's a brilliant episode of Adam Ruins Everything, which debunks the idea of alpha males. They don't really exist. It's based on a botched study of wolves, as in the animal, not the club. But before I move on, I just need 30 seconds of your time to talk to you about something. I keep saying it, but it's true. I don't accept ad campaigns unless I genuinely like and use what I'm promoting, and I do like this and I do use it. It's called the OneFootball app, and it's genuinely really good. The OneFootball app gives you all the information you need to follow football. Fixtures, results, stats, match updates, squad information, transfer news information, everything you need. And also for pretty much every league you can think of. The best feature to me is the aggregator of transfer news, because you don't have to go looking around the internet for rumours on Twitter or Reddit, you get it all in this feed. So go and download the OneFootball app now, the link is in the description. As society changes, leadership must change with it. In my view, it's not about removing strong leadership, it's about adapting it. Moving it towards something more bespoke to the individuals within the group, something more positive and developmentally focused to get the best out of the widest group of people that you can. According to FIFA's laws of the game, the only mandated responsibility for the captain is to do the coin toss at the beginning to decide who goes in what end. So do we pick the guy who's best at heads or tails? All jokes aside, how do we make having a captain a competitive advantage? What do we need from a Premier League captain in 2022? What do they represent now? And how would Ødegaard be the best fit from the current squad? Right now, Arsenal's playing principles are embedding and developing as the squad goes through a significant period of change. So the priority right now is ensuring alignment of vision and cultural tone setting from the top down. Someone who you trust to organise the team on the pitch in terms of shape and structure, translating the manager's message, but also a calming and hard-working influence to relate to and settle a young group while setting an example. You also need someone who's good at football. No one will get behind a captain who's comfortably one of the worst players in the team.
Ødegaard is Mikel Arteta's eyes and ears, isn't it? It's pretty clear whenever the ball goes out of play. The player Arteta always calls over to speak to is Ødegaard. He's his guy on the pitch.
Firstly, in-game, there's no doubt that Ødegaard is the technical leader of the team. Other than Gabriel and Benjamin White, as is to be expected, Martin Ødegaard completed the most passes and had the most touches out of anyone at Arsenal last season. Other than Saka, the centre-backs and the goalkeeper, he also played the most minutes. He is ever present and central to Arsenal's play. I'm about to show you a load of stats, but your eyes tell you what you need to know. When Ødegaard's on song, he runs the game and dictates the tempo. In terms of the good at football bit of the requirements, he was in the top 5 chance creators in the league last season, in excellent company. He'll want to improve on a disappointing 4 assists last season, a new number 9 will help, but when you dig a bit deeper into the numbers, you'll find someone who is integral to Arsenal's play. Ødegaard is by far and away Arsenal's most dangerous passer in terms of adding goal probability from his passing, as seen here. His contribution to XG build-up, i.e. how likely it is if Ødegaard is involved that there is a high quality chance, is at the top of the chart, as are his deep completion numbers, a completed non-cross pass that is targeted to the zone within 20 metres of the opponent's goal. So Ødegaard does his job on the ball, but he's also crucial to Arsenal's press and defending from the front. Here he is leading the team in terms of pressures per 90 in the Premier League last season. He's also in the 96th percentile when compared to other attacking midfielders in the top 5 leagues for tackles in the attacking third, and the 97th percentile when compared to midfielders for tackles and pressures in the attacking third. And he's getting better at it too. Successful tackles in the final third per 90 jumped from 0.21 last season to 0.61 this year, and his successful pressure metric per 90 went up too. I've said a few times I expect Arsenal to press more next season owing to the 5 subs rule change and what we've seen in pre-season, so Ødegaard may become even more important. So, in the press, what does he actually do? At times he's deployed in the front line when Arsenal use a 4-4-2 defensive block, and he's always quick to recognise situations where Arsenal can gain ground. One simple example here of him in the first line, pressing Soyuncu against Leicester at home. But note the angle he does it from. Söyüncü is right-footed, so he's pressing his weaker foot, so he would feel uncomfortable opening out and is forced backwards. Ødegaard's also not too square, so he could pop it round him. Everyone else can push up as Leicester retreat. Simple, but smart. But the more subtle work he does behind the first line is where he really shows his worth. Take this situation here against Liverpool, which all happens within about 20 seconds. Here, he's one of the 3 players blocking the passing lanes into midfield for Fabinho, so the player turns back and Liverpool recycle possession to the right. As they move it back round to the left, Ødegaard instructs Smith Rowe to block the lane to Fabinho, anticipating he may be receiving the next ball while blocking a ball into midfield himself. Next, Saka steps in on Robertson, and Ødegaard sees Robertson coming in field, so moves to block the pass to Jones. Ødegaard then moves in on Robertson, having blocked Jones out of the game, and forces Robertson backwards. The ball comes to Matip, and Ødegaard blocks Matip's ball into the midfield, so Matip goes to pass, as you can see by his body shape here, but decides against it owing to Martin's position, playing the ball back to Van Dijk. Van Dijk attempts a ball out to the right-hand side, it's not controlled, and Arsenal win the turnover. Ødegaard's all-round contribution to the team is indispensable. At times, he runs this team. It's not only his more obvious output, his ridiculous deftness of touch, and the moments that make the crowd go, ooh. It's this kind of subtle off-the-ball work that Arteta will really love, his ability to defend from the front and organise those around him. He also plays in the middle of the field and likes to drop deep to receive off defenders, meaning he can communicate more easily with all of the team's lines. He is constantly speaking with those around him, has an incredible football IQ, and has an evident interest in tactics and understanding more about the game, as attested to by those around him, which we'll hear in a moment. So on the pitch, you could argue Ødegaard is already the captain. In fact, he literally is at the moment. Perhaps the bigger question marks then are around his off-field impact, and the only way to assess that is to listen to those who know him. In order to be part of a winning culture and lead a team, you need to be an influential figure, but that doesn't mean you have to be loud. It just means you need the respect of your fellow professionals, which he seems to have. Ex-Arsenal captain Granit Xhaka said that he was the future of the club, and that everyone in the dressing room listens to him. He's only 23, but he behaves like he's 30. Multiple sources, including Aaron Ramsdale, talk of Ødegaard as the teacher's pet. Ramsdale told Peter Crouch's podcast recently that Arteta and Ødegaard speak closely after every training session in Spanish, where Mikel normally speaks to everyone else in English. So most of the time, no one knows what they're talking about. Ramsdale referred to him jokingly as parched, a reference from the podcast to describe someone who aims to curry favour with the manager by standing by them and communicating with them a lot. In an appearance on David Seaman's podcast, Ramsdale was a lot more serious about his respect for Martin's qualities. He's a very calming individual. He might not be the most vocal, but you don't always need your captain to be the most vocal, because you could have 3 or 4 other players who are vocal. He's a top-class footballer, and he has that respect in the dressing room. Not always, but the manager usually picks the captain. And it sounds like the qualities that Granit and Aaron outline are the exact qualities that Arteta is looking for in his captain. For me, the most important thing is that the other people, whether it's coaches, staff members or players, when you talk, they listen to you. You don't have to be talking all the time. The most important quality is you have to be able to transmit your thoughts and ideas in a powerful way, so you're able to inspire people and get people behind you. As a tone setter, you need to set an example to your fellow professionals. He had a period at the start where he wasn't playing. He was the first in training, the last to leave, asking the right questions. Why he wasn't playing, what he had to do. He was always listening. He was always helping his teammates. His attitude was absolutely phenomenal. As quite a humble, quiet character on the face of it, what Ødegaard lacks in that kind of old school, macho leadership, he more than makes up for in his example, his actions, and indeed, his footballing experience. Ødegaard has not had a conventional rise to where he is. He started training with the Strømgodset first team aged 13 and made his senior international debut for Norway at 15 years of age, an incredible amount of pressure on young shoulders. He's played for 2 clubs in Norway, 2 in Spain, 2 in Holland, and now us. And he's only 23. More than most, Ødegaard knows what it's like to be under the spotlight. It's probably fair to say he will never receive the kind of media attention he got in around 2014 and 15 again. If you were around at the time, you'll remember it well. I'm only slightly older than him, so to me it felt slightly surreal someone around my age could be training with Ronaldo and holding press conferences. In 2021, Ødegaard was appointed captain of the Norwegian national side, with manager Ståle Solbakken choosing Martin over superstar striker Erling Haaland. Experience does get over-indexed, but Martin hasn't just stepped out of some random under-23s team. Training with Real Madrid in one of their most successful eras ever will have been eye-opening to say the least. He's already been to the top and felt that pressure, so the composure we're beginning to see on and off the field is not an accident. I'm not sure I'd go so far, but someone could make an argument that Arsenal haven't had an overall good captaincy since Per Mertesacker retired in 2018. Koscielny left in strange, acrimonious circumstances, though I feel like we might not know the full story publicly. Lacazette just wasn't good enough, Aubameyang had disciplinary issues, and Xhaka, well, we all know what happened there. To counteract all that, we need calm, we need hard work, and we need someone who's going to be here for the long haul. We can't just give out the captaincy to stop players leaving anymore. And with Ødegaard, the pressure that might come with the captaincy doesn't really feel like it might negatively affect him. Speaking to TV2 Sport, Ødegaard said receiving the captaincy at the end of last season was a big compliment, as well as a great recognition and declaration of trust. He clearly valued the honour, but I wouldn't expect a great deal to change. And in a way, that's kind of the most you can ask for. One regular captaincy at Arsenal. It's all I ask for. Will never happen. I suppose, in a way, a captain is a conduit to the fans. Someone we see ourselves in on the pitch. Someone who cares about the club and has the skill to back it up in his elevated position, lead the team out and act as a symbolic figurehead. According to Red Action FC, Ødegaard was the #1 most requested shirt when Arsenal released the new home kit this season. So something is connecting there. Some may argue that you need an older, more experienced head to manage a younger group. And I'd ask that person to name someone who's got the right footballing ability and fits that bill. I don't think there is anyone. And here's the kicker. He's kind of the perfect symbol for this phase of Arsenal's development. Someone looking to get back to former glory. Young enough to do it, with the potential and ambition to really pull it off. Young enough to relate, old enough to know. Good enough to lead, smart enough to understand. He ticks a lot of boxes. Other possible candidates include Benjamin White, who wouldn't be a bad pick. However, I've heard rumours about his off-pitch conduct not being the best at times, and I don't want someone who doesn't watch football to captain my club. Just my opinion, as long as he does the business on the pitch, doesn't bother me. But to translate that hunger and the message from the manager, I'd like someone who seems more invested. Ramsdale is a little bit green and inexperienced for me, and Tierney, I won't bash him again, but just not for me. I do have my concerns, of course. Ødegaard seems a little bit like a fair weather player. He looks great at 3 PM on a sunny Emirates day, but I haven't seen him really grab a game by the scruff of the neck late on a Monday night against a tough opposition. I do hope we see that, but Ødegaard isn't really like that. He isn't Keane, he isn't Vieira, and that's kind of not what we're looking for anymore. So for this team at this time, to have a calming, reliable, switched-on brain at the heart of a bombastic, dynamic system, someone who speaks Norwegian, Spanish and English fluently, sounds like the perfect fit to me. Whoever ends up being the captain ultimately is largely a symbol. Players like Xhaka, Ramsdale, White and Tierney will all play their part in a leadership group. So perhaps the most important part of all of this is how Ødegaard feels. This interview will always stick in my mind.
I've been saying for a while that I want to find some stability. I think for young players it's good to have that. As you said, I've been changing for many teams. I think too much.
Having left home at such an early age, being shipped around all over the place, Ødegaard just needs a home. You can imagine the amount of pressure that's been on him to succeed, the amount of sponsor demands, agent talk, expectations from his inner circle. He needs to feel comfortable and wanted, even when it's not always working out perfectly. Then he can play his best football. Giving him this honour to be the 64th captain of Arsenal Football Club may just push him to that next level. And what an extraordinary level that could be. Thank you so much for watching The Different Knock. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider supporting us on Patreon monthly or head to buymeacoffee.com for one-time support. You can find me at AMOnFootball on Twitter and we're at DiffKnock on all social media. Also, check out our podcast. All the links are in the video description. Thanks.